to have. It made me see there was something missing. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, KiwiSylveon, and welcome back to Seduce Me to the Demon World. War. Erik's dropped. Yeah, I've been trying to get it, but I got it. In the last episode, we finally defeated the Demon Lord, but as you can see, he's kinda right there. That's because Orabel, or the spirit that was inside Heidi, who is Diana's sister, is going to try to kill us all. Yay for us! More death. As the Demon Lord's head lifted to look up at Diana, I gasped. His eyes were glossed over in a dark purple, almost black color. Blood continued to pour from the wounds of the body, but the body continued to move as if it had a small breath of life. His mouth dropped and began to mold itself into forming words, dead and echoey, with Orabel's voice seeping through.
You let him kill me. You let him kill mother and father.
Orabel!
You let the human live and let us die. I can never forgive you.
The voice of the Demon Lord and Orabel seemed to fuse in a dissonant harmony as the body slowly began to march toward the unmoving Diana. My mind screamed for her to move and run, but Diana didn't seem to be immobile at the oncoming danger. Diana, move! She remained in place, shocked and frozen at what her sister had said and done. I could barely make out her hair and body shouting in natural fear, but she wouldn't move at all. Grab her, duh. There was no way I was going to let Orabel hurt her, sister or not. I rushed forward and grabbed Diana by the horns, pulling her back as fast as I could.
Ah!
Diana gripped onto my hands, digging her nails into my skin, but I didn't care. I needed to bring her away from the incoming enemy. Erik, you want to take over, please? Thank you. As we dragged her back, Orabel watched, unamused by my intrusion. I could only glare back, despite Diana flailing in my hands. She wouldn't take her away. I wouldn't let her. I finally released Diana's horns, and stepped forward, placing myself between the two sisters. I won't let you hurt her. Orabel loomed toward us, filling me with dread. The stench of the Demon Lord's corpse became unbearable. Despite not being dead long, I still had no energy to fight. The realization made me step back from the undead Demon Lord.
You hurt me. Hurt me. Now I'll hurt you.
Oh, fuck. Orabel picked up the Demon Lord's broken blade parts and slammed them together, fusing them back into one sword with her energy. How was that possible? She was a spirit. Orabel then started to charge at us, missing the sword barely over Erik's and my head. Oh, no you don't, bitch. I prepared to defend, but it was blocked by the back of Erik's head and a wave of erythro tendrils. All at once, the tendrils grabbed a hold of the sword and forced it away. Around Erik's body was a deep aura of red and purple mist, swirling the air and wrapping around his summoned tendrils. As he stepped forward, Orabel surprisingly stepped back.
I won't let you hurt the one I love.
Take that, bitch. With a snarl, Orabel lunged at Erik, trying to wrap her arms around him, but was pushed away by Erik's tendrils. Orabel and Erik charged at one another, Orabel gripping to Erik's outstretched tendrils, and began to push at each other. The wounds on the Demon Lord's body began to open and bleed further, causing it to quake as it pushed against Erik's strength.
You won't last long in that body. Give up.
Shut up! Shut up!
With her screams, Orabel knocked away the tendrils before her and managed to get close to Erik, but not without impaling herself on the traps Erik placed around him, which caused spikes to shoot up and into the rotten body of the Demon Lord. Disgusted at the sight and smell, I would be too. Erik used his tendrils to shove Orbel off of him and towards the opposite end of the room, where Orbel slid and rolled against the marble, painting it red and black with blood. Yummy. Quickly, Orbel jumped back up and began to howl and scream, her cries filling the room and making it quake violently. I held my head, trying to block out the sound, but her cries began to fill my head with dissonant pain. Erik, in defiance, sprayed a volley of spikes at her, all landing on target. Spikes remained in the corpse, but Orbel continued to move, desperate to fight back with everything she had. What was wrong with her? How was she able to keep going? Were spirits really that powerful? I quickly grabbed Diana, pulling her up to her feet, and ran to the corner of the room, needing to be in the room still to help Erik, but desperate to keep Orbel away from Diana.
Orbel!
Diana began to flail and fight back, but I dug my nails into Diana's sides, forcing her back with gritted teeth. Diana, move! As Diana's back hit the corner of the room, I could hear Erik release a grunt of pain. Oh boy, causing me to look over my shoulder and see what had happened. Erik, having knocked away a slash from Orbel's sword, unfortunately couldn't block a fist from sending Erik flying into the wall. Erik's body slammed into the stone and he fell onto the ground, gasping for air and hurling himself over from the pain. Erik! I instantly rushed over and knelt at Erik's side, wrapping an arm around over him as he slowly began to rise back up.
I'm fine, Princess.
I shook my head and looked at Orbel, seeing her slowly make her way towards us. I was certain that the body she was using was drained of any blood, yet she managed to keep it moving with her own energy. It was morbidly disgusting to see, but I was forced to bear witness as it came closer to where we were. What are we going to do? Erik and I looked at each other, desperate to find the answer in each other's eyes. However, one finally appeared in my mind. According to Diana, when I had Orbel within me, I was overflowing with energy. If I was still standing, then I still had some left. It wasn't enough for me to fight, but it was enough to give to Erik to possibly help him. I suddenly grabbed Erik's face and kissed him, willing my energy into his body. Erik, despite naturally accepting it, stared wide-eyed at me in surprise. Sorry, take it. I didn't want to pass out, so I pulled away when I began to feel lightheaded. I hoped and prayed that it was enough energy to end this fight, so I smiled at Erik, nodding to him. Finish this, so we can go home. I quickly collapsed onto my hands, panting for air. The room began to spin, but I had to shake it off. Shake it off, shake it off. I had to see this through. Erik gazed at me before nodding and turning to Orbel, who was halfway across the room now. Slowly, Erik rose to his feet and summoned his mob of tendrils, each dancing and waving like angry snakes in the air.
You've been in my way for long enough, spirit.
Walking forward, Erik lashed out his tendrils at Orbel, whipping and snapping at the body she was possessing, and forcing it back despite her attempts to block them and force them away. Every so often, a spike would fly from Erik's ring of tendrils, piercing Orbel like a skewer. As Erik passed the Demon Lord's sword, he reached down and picked it up, surprisingly with ease. Yeah, because technically he doesn't use any weapons. He has his tendrils. Sam has a fucking sword that turns into flames. James has a saber, technically, a lighter sword. And yeah, Erik has his tendrils, so he doesn't use normal means of weapon. I could barely stand, gripping onto the wall as I watched Erik lift the sword to his side.
You possessed my wife, brought her to this world,
fiancé.
and dared to attack her? All because of what my father did to you. Pitiful.
But it is cute to hear him say wife. But it's fiancé. I possessed my fiancé. Orbo let a threatening and frightening shout, lurching forward to try and tackle Erik. Stop. Phone, stop. No. That was pushed away by the Demon Lord blade and Erik's tendrils, causing her to knock into and collapse one of the nearby pillars. Ouch. Orbo slowly whirls, pushing the debris off her before glaring hard at Erik. Erik glared back in kind, raising his father's blade up and to his side, preparing to charge forward with it to plunge into her.
I will send you to purgatory and free you from your suffering.
Thank you. With one last cry, Erik ran and thrust the Demon Lord's sword forward into the doorbell, causing her to cry out. Ow, my ear. The room began to vibrate and quake, causing me to cover my head. However, Erik released the hilt of the sword and rushed back to me. A bright light filled the room, blinding Erik and I. Erik gripped onto me, trying to cover my body with his, but the white color of the flash invaded my vision. Silence slowly consumed the air as my world became blank like a canvas. Hi? Hi? I looked up at last to see the spirit orb bobbing up and down in the air.
You saved me! Thank you! You freed me at last!
Oh, Orabelle. The orb spun around itself once, releasing a small giggle. It seemed overjoyed, despite what had just happened earlier. Had Orabelle been under some sort of corruption?
I can finally go home!
Ooh.
Orabelle.
Oh, Diana. I turned my head to see Diana slowly walking forward to be by my side, staring at the orb in both sadness and relief. Orba floated over to hover in front of Diana, a soft line of sadness in her own voice.
I'm sorry, big sister,
It's all right. You're free now.
Diana wrapped her arms around Orba, laying her cheek softly on the orb as it flickered a warm glow. The air was calm, and the love between Diana and Orba seemed to hum with the orb's light. However, Diana was still alive, and I could tell this was her final goodbye to her the sister she never got to meet. It was heartwarming, as well as bittersweet. But Diana deserved proper closure with the sister she grew to love.
Tell Mother and Father that I'm all right, okay?
I will.
Oh.
Orabelle?
Then I suddenly looked into the light around us, hearing a man's voice. Orba spun around in a circle, letting out a happy gasp.
Father? Father!
Orba quickly left Diana's arms and began to fly to the bright light, but stopped and spoke once more.
Take care of the world, okay? You're everyone's mother now, sister.
Oh. Diana grinned and chuckled a bit, stray tears falling down the sides of her face.
I'll do my best.
Bye-bye, human!
Bye. I couldn't help waving as the orb finally faded away into the light. As the world returned me to the great hall, I found myself still wrapped in Erik's arms. I looked up to see him stare down at me in worry, like I had passed out. Erik?
Love, are you all right?
I nodded. I was all right now. The battle was over and I was free to return home. Great sacrifices were made, but it was all over now. I was going home. Diana, who had been sitting in the corner of the room, braced her knees to her chest, taking in what had happened as well. I was positive that she was truly there with me to say goodbye to Orabelle, so she had to recuperate.
Sarah.
I had to hit her voice. A soft flash of light pulsed in the front of her before revealing Zero, out of breath.
My lady!
Despite being out of breath, Cyril quickly dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around Diana.
I was on my way to tell you! We've won! We forced the enemy to dissolve and surrender and...
Shut up.
Aww. Cyril flinched before Diana wrapped her arms around his chest and pulled him tightly against her.
Just hold me.
Oh, Diana forever. Cyril stared down at Diana before nodding and embracing her, resting his head against hers comfortingly. I could barely hear a soft sobbing from her, but I was glad to know that Cyril was there for her. I looked up at Erik and smiled before kissing him, relishing in the victory of the rebellion and the release of my curse. I was finally going home. Yay! It was over. The war was finally over. As the smoke cleared, we were victorious. The soldiers left standing were once to cheer in victory. The sky became littered with the howls and cries of the joyful and happy. The tyranny of the Demon Lord had ended. But what now? Home was now possible. We could go back to the human world and we could live our lives as we wanted. It was something I desperately wanted, and yet my body was not ready to make the journey just yet. We had to celebrate the success of the war, after all. As the full moon rose over Lilith Castle towards the dawn, the entirety of the demon world celebrated with endless drink and food, laughter and dancing. It was so unreal, but the courtyard that I could see was filled with smiles and happy faces. We had stayed for one more night, traveling back to Lilith Castle to rest and return home as healthy as we could be. After all, we had just gone through a war. One more night in the demon world wasn't going to hurt us. While the majority of the rebellion danced in the courtyard, I remained with the Incubi and the rebel leaders, who were all in the royal hall having their own celebration. I could see Sam and Sergeant going at it. Holy shit. And I got an itchy eyeball. Drinks were shared and battle stories were exchanged, making some laugh and others rolled their eyes. I found myself intrigued at the stories Sergeant told me about the front line. As I looked at Diana, however, she simply kept quiet with a small smile on her face. She looked at the Incubi and the rebel leaders in silence before walking away from the little party we had. God damn, why is my eyes so itchy? As if she knew I was staring at her, Diana looked over at me and slightly gestured with her head to follow her. Duh, follow her. I followed, curious as to where she was going. I made sure to remain quiet as I separated from the rest of the group and followed her out of the room into the hall. The entire journey, Diana did not speak a word. My eye is so itchy. Even Cero didn't follow her, most likely being told that she wanted to speak to me in private, or alone. Diana led me through the castle, up a couple of stairs, into what looked like to be a royal bedroom with a balcony. Was this a guest room? It was untouched, and I smelled the very faint scent of dust. Why did she bring me here? Oh my god, it's almost reminiscent to the first game. I didn't realize that. Diana stepped into the room, using her magic to ignite candelabras in the air out the room by opening the balcony window. Before I could ask, however, Diana finally spoke up.
I have to thank you, dear.
For what?
For aiding us in this war. We've been fighting the Demon Lord for so long. We thought the war would never end. As terrible as the circumstance was, if you hadn't been summoned here, we probably would have still been fighting now.
Diana walked to the balcony and leaned against the railing, staring into the dark night sky. The light from the room illuminated her form as she gazed at the stars. Despite the situation around us, the air seemed calm and with the faint echo of the celebrations whispering through the night. I walked over and stood beside her, leaning against the balcony, and looked at Diana as she smiled and let out a chuckle.
To be very honest, I didn't expect to ever see you again. After I took your energy that night, I vowed to never deal with humans again. No clairvoyance could have told me about you coming into play in this war.
Yay! I wasn't exactly counting on coming here. It was good to see you, though. Diana stared wide-eyed at me, a small form of blush on her cheeks. What? It was true. I was able to see another side of her. One that wasn't cruel or ruthless towards me. I guess it was the real her, and I was happy to find out that she wasn't a terrible person after all. When you were in the human world, I never imagined you to be a nice person. You did everything you could to mess with me and tried to coerce the boys to return. Since I came, I know who the real you are. Yeah, I know who you really are. You have a good heart, Diana, and I'm glad to know that now. Diana stared for a while before smiling softly, her eyes slightly glossing over in a sense of appreciation. She almost looked like a little girl for half a second, her face full of innocence.
And you do as well, my friend.
Aww. Shut up, Diana. Shut up. It's so good. Oh, okay. Keep doing that. Keep praising me, please. Diana turned her body to me and held out her hand toward me. I smiled back and took her hand, gently shaking it before pulling her to be surprising her. I wanted to hug her, so I did. I wrapped my arms around her body and felt her very slowly relax into my embrace. With a small breath and what I assumed to be a purr, Diana wrapped her arms around me and hugged me back. Aww. Diana's our best friend. Never would I have imagined embracing Diana and seeing her not as an enemy, but as a friend. It was mind-boggling, but I was glad to know the real Diana now. And I pulled away from each other and smiled before she stepped back to her original spot.
Oh, I had almost forgotten.
I tilted my head at her. What was she talking about? Diana lifted one of her hands toward the sky and waved her hand through the air, making a soft purple mist glow around her fingers. Within seconds, the mist morphed and formed itself into a lavender-colored lily, resting peacefully between Diana's fingers. She brought it down and presented it to me with a kind gaze.
A gift, my dear.
A gift? I didn't get you anything. I slowly took the flower out of Diana's hands and inspected it visually. It was light, but I could feel a soft glow of magic emanating from the stem and petals. The bloom reminded me of a human world lily, but something about it seemed otherworldly.
A flower known only to demons of Lilith. We call it the Flower of Lilith, because these flowers were said to have been created when Lilith first appeared in the abyssal plains.
Aww. I stared at Diana, not understanding why she was giving me such a gift. She chuckled at my confusion and leaned against the railing, continuing her explanation.
It is also a flower we succubi use when we marry.
Are you marrying me, Diana? So help me. Erik will fuck you up. I am his and his alone. Sorry. What? Used? What do you mean? What the fuck did I do? Oh, there we go. I was confused. My screen went black on one side. What's going on with my games? Diana chuckled again before she gently took the flower from my hands and tucked it behind my ear. As it settled against my ear, I felt a mist circle my head and form a flower crown out of lavender lilies. The way Diana looked at me made me feel like I was in my bridal wear already. Again, I am not marrying you, Diana. I got Erik. Well, Heidi got Erik.
A human you may be, but Lilith would have been proud to see you marrying one of her own. These flowers represent her blessing, and may only crown the worthy.
Sweet. I'm worthy of a dead succubus. Hell yeah. I felt a blush run across my cheeks. This was a blessing? I slowly reached up and ran my fingers along the flower crown adorning my head, feeling the soft petals against my fingertips. They were almost pulsing with energy. I felt both flattered and honored that a simple flower felt I was worthy enough to crown my head. Then I let out a sigh and looked back to the sky, making me do the same. One would have expected the night to be full of smoke or smell of a war's aftermath. But, the sky was clear and fresh air drifted through my nose as I inhaled. It was indeed another world, and tonight was my last night in it.
Well, you
Yay!
did it! Nevertheless, I mean,
Woo!
who would have thought that Diana's own sister was the one that brought you to the demon world? However, your love came through in the end. With your strength, Erik was finally able to defeat Orabelle and send her to the afterlife, where she belonged.
Yay!
Anyways, after the war was finished, the entire rebellion, you would think demons with the entire world united under one banner, the Lilith Crest. Diana became the sovereign of the entire plane, accepted Sero, as devoted as ever. Diana became one of the most beloved rulers in all of demon world history. Her natural heart of gold led her to lead the world to a prosperous future. The other rebel leaders supported her, eventually changing the caste system of the world and slowly working their way. Diana had her suspicions, of course. And I believe that Erik and you returned home, and since everything was taken care of before he found you, you got ready for the actual wedding.
Oh.
Huh? How do I...
I gotta adjust. My legs are falling asleep. Now that I was unhindered by a spirit I couldn't control, I was finally able to move on to say yes to Erik with every ounce of my heart in our wedding vows. My entire being became light as I watched his expression melt into endless joy at my vows to him. Our kiss was as magical as a fairy tale prince and princess kiss, glowing in positive and hopeful energy as the people who watched cheered in congratulations. I could go on and on about the wedding and the honeymoon, but honestly, after the war, I was more concerned about living my life afterwards. Our lives escalated to new heights after we officially became husband and wife. Erik started a chain of suit shops and had become a very powerful man in the fashion business industry. It was rather hilarious to see him square up James at every fitting he needed with a smirk of equal standing to his once upper-tier brother. As for me, I began to go through my own successes in life, dedicating myself to becoming exactly what I wanted to be. After all, my husband had made a name for himself in the fashion world. If I put the same amount of work as I did in the demon world, then I was going to be okay. Now, Heidi, I know I've said that Allie went into writing, like writing books and becoming an author. Violet, I never did get to say what she did. She would actually become a lawyer, like try to help out people who needed it, like who had issues, like technically the main character and her father, because you have to admit the father's kind of a dick, and kind of help others, sort of to help out like Sam did, because he's in the police force, and yeah. Heidi would go into, like, she would join not James, holy shit. That would be awkward. Be like, hi, brother. Hi, I'm going to work with you. No. She'd go into the fashion business, too, because she would be the one that loves fashion. She and Erik would probably bounce off ideas each other until they found one that clicked. However, there was never a day that went by that I didn't think about what was happening in the Abyssal Plains. It was a heavy chapter of my life, one that tested the love between me and Erik. To think that I was under the influence of a child who needed to be set free still astonished me to no end. For a moment, I myself almost believed that I was pregnant instead. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. Still, I was confident that we would get through it and stay together no matter what came our way. Demon, devil, spirit. It didn't matter to us. We were unstoppable together. The faint memory of my own power slightly tingled through me every time I grew confident. Eagerly reminded me that I had strength of my own. I would never let anyone come between me and Erik ever again. Thoughts of it all echoed in my mind as I sat in bed, looking up at the ceiling with a wide smile on my face. Despite the dangers being real, the war was an adventure fun to look back upon in my memories. I took in a breath and let out a sigh, leaning back against the bedpost and closing my eyes. I was at peace and everything was all right.
Princess?
Oh, hi, Erik. Hi, hi, hi. I opened my eyes at the sound of my pet name, looking up to see Erik at the door, smiling at me and holding a plate of food. Unlike the demon world, this world had the makings of pastries, eggs, bacon, and sausage, and other delicious concoctions made for the early morning. As I took in the sight of all my favorite foods on the plate in Erik's hand, I licked my lips and let out a happy hum. Hey, that looks delicious.
And it's all for you.
I was squealing internally, feeling a bit spoiled at the treatment he was giving me. As he walked over and sat on the edge of the bed, Erik handed me the plate and watched as I accepted it and took a bite of what he offered, groaning at the amazing taste. With a smile, I took some of it onto the fork that was on the plate and offered it to Erik, seeing him stare at me in slight surprise before smiling and taking in the bite, licking his lips after. Thank you, Erik. You spoil me.
Anything for you, my sweet princess.
Aw. I'm not sweet. I giggled at the name, nuzzling Erik's hand as he came up to caress my cheeks lovingly. His hands were always so soft and warm, perfect to hold me and make me feel loved and safe. I opened an eye to look up at him cutely, seeing him blush with a smile of his own.
I would happily do anything for you.
Anything?
Anything. Just name it.
I cupped his hand and gently placed a kiss over his palm, feeling him stare in surprise at the gesture. I could almost hear the blush on his face intensifying it before I even looked back to him to confirm it. He was red as an apple. Perfect. I giggled and nuzzled his hand, almost laying my head on it. Be with me forever? Took a small cute moment for Erik to regain his composure before nodding, brushing a strand of hair from behind my ear.
Forever. And always.
Hold me every day and every night?
As close as I can hold you to me.
Sorry. Sweet waves of joy rushed through me at every answer he gave, confirming his devotion and love for me. I was so lucky to have him as my own, and I could tell that he believed himself to be the lucky one. In honesty, we were both of the lucky ones, perfectly blending together and devoting ourselves to each other without second thoughts. We proved it in the demon world, and we would prove it for the rest of our lives. I gently pulled Erik toward me, moving the plate between us to the nightstand, smiling as he came close before capturing his lips in mine in a loving kiss. He was definitely surprised, but it wasn't long before he began to kiss back just as passionately. The gentle taste of roses and rain always made me feel at peace, and I always managed to find it on Erik's lips. He was my perfect prince, and I was his loving princess. Our mansion was a castle, and the human world was our kingdom to explore. What story could have been better? As we pulled away, we gazed into each other's eyes, becoming lost in them. All I could see in his purple irises were waves of love and care, filling my heart with everlasting peace. I began to wonder what he saw in my eyes. Whatever it was, he became entranced and could do nothing but wrap his free arm around me, pulling me to him lovingly.
Everything in my life belongs to you. my heart, my body, my soul, everything. I swear to give you everything I am, and love you until the end of time. Nothing will tear me away from you.
I'm gonna stop. Oh my god, Erik. Between Erik, James, and Sam, I'm surprised I have a heart to give out. Oh. I'm literally crying. Erik's route always gets to me. No matter how ready I am, it's just... Sam's is awesome, because I can go through a dragon's trial to be together. And he's such a dork that he's so... And then there's James with the... But Erik, he knows how to get to your heart. Erik. With a tender kiss on my forehead, Erik's expression softened into a gaze of deep love.
I love you, princess. I love you so much.
I believed every word. I let his words embed themselves in my heart, and I would remember them forever. As Erik kissed me again, locking lips with mine, he sealed his words. I would love him and continue to hold him close for the rest of my life. Nothing would be able to tear me away from him any longer. And that was my perfect, happily ever after. Oh my god. I'm gonna... Oh, wow. My heart. I'm just gonna let the credits roll while I try to regain my emotions. Erik's route, to me, is just so sweet. And, oh my god. At the end, when he's just himself, he's just adorable. And the fact that you, the player, made him that way, just shows how much he's changed over the 2 games. From being the little, oh, you want a bed partner, princess, type person, to be one that would give everything to be with you. Christopher Escalante, that guy, he knows how to get into your heart. So does Brad and Kagi, who's Alejandro, by the way. Oh my god. Those 3 know how to get into your hearts, even though, according to Kagi, he yells a lot. And in case you haven't noticed, Sam does a lot of fucking yelling. And Erik, he's just the opposite, yet he still has the same, I don't know, it's just so cute. He's the most sweetest person ever. And I'm surprised I didn't fall for him first. But he's like he's never left my top 3. He flips with James and Sam occasionally, but Sam will always stay up there. He will not go past 2 though. And James, I didn't expect him to fly from bottom to be in the top 3. Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't like James at all. I hated him that he was just a nerd and that he thought he knew everything and that he's like, oh, I'm the heir. I'm going to be all dramatic and be all high and mighty. But after I played through his route like a few times in the first game, I realized that James is like me. Except not as smart. Anyway, I'm going to end it here, and I will be doing Matthew's route and then Damien's. I still have to do Damien's in the first one. Oopsie. Anyway, I will see you guys then, and remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and perhaps put some tissues in the comments, because you might need them, because Erik is so cute. Sam's still mine, but screw you. And yeah. Bye!